episode of the podcast is brought to you by Comixology. Are you tired of your favorite movies getting pushed back again and again and again and being stuck inside and not being able to do anything or go see anything fun? Check out Comixology.com. Read all the stories that all of these movies are based on and get in the know. Comixology.com. Sign up for a free Comixology Unlimited trial and you can read everything. You can read The Boys. You can read Lock and Key. You can read Batman. You can read whatever you want. Visit infamouspodcast.com/Comixology to sign up today. Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this is episode 245, 265.
I was about to say, wow, we went back in time for a minute.
I'm doing a Joe Biden thing there. I'm like, anyway, what's the tragedy, Grogu? What's the tragedy? So we have a very spoiler-heavy episode today. We are talking about The Expanse. We are talking about The Mandalorian, obviously. And then we have a metric ton. Truck ton of news bites because there's a ton of stuff that happened this week. And this is just a scratching of the surface. And we're not going to talk about Elliot Page. We're not talking about some of the other stuff, but this is the stuff we found interesting. So,
right. And there were a couple things, again, well, not a couple, but there were quite a few things we left off.
Yeah. So
I would say the one big thing that, well, quote unquote, I'm doing the quotes.
Air quotes. Yeah.
The air quote big thing was Oscar Isaac signed on as Solid Snake with Metal Gear Solid.
See, that didn't even interest me.
Yeah.
See, I love Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan.
Yeah. I played it on NES.
Yeah, that's the original Metal Gear.
That's the only one I've ever played.
Yeah,
so
I've played them all except that one, which is funny enough.
Yeah, fair enough. But to each their video game own, correct?
But again, we know video games usually don't have what you would call a great track record.
Yeah, well, to quote Bobby Boucher's mom, Mrs. Boucher, to paraphrase, I guess, video game movies are the devil. So, all right. So speaking of movies, so Warner Brothers essentially has decided movie theaters are for the birds. They don't need movie theaters anymore. They just need HBO Max.
Yeah, we've been talking off and on ever since, 2020, well, March of 2020.
I've been talking about this for years.
For a while.
This is my dream.
Yeah, you've been talking for a while.
I love going to movies. I love, it's the, as we've talked about before, it's the core tenet of our relationship. It's the cornerstone memory of our relationship. And I, as much as I love going to the theater, this is my dream because I can still go to the theater and then come home and watch it again immediately.
And that was my exact thought when I was going over the list of movies because, again, we heard about a few weeks ago Wonder Woman 1984 doing this. But now that this news that all of their 2021 slate of movies are going to be concurrently in the theaters and on HBO Max, I believe, for a month.
It's a 1 month exclusive window. So here's what I'm thinking. HBO Max, if you're listening, do away with your free trial. No free trials. Just be done with it. WWE got rid of their free trials a while ago on the WWE app because, you could just go in and sign up and do your free month, watch WrestleMania, wait until SummerSlam, go in, sign up with a different email, watch SummerSlam. It's just, honestly, you could just sigun up 12 different times throughout the year with 12 different emails. Gmail lets you just create an infinite number of them. So it wasn't even worried about your credit card or anything like that.
I thought I saw that you won't be able to watch Wonder Woman with a free trial.
I don't know. I don't think you should be able to watch any of these with a free trial.
So if it's doing that with Wonder Woman, which I saw something. It was a flash earlier this morning when I was looking at stuff. And if that's the case, if they're doing that with Wonder Woman, I'm assuming they're doing that because they know this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So they're saying, hey, we're just going to no free trials because somebody could wait till October or whenever. When all these movies, if all these movies are on, they are doing the 1 month exclusive.
So, yeah, but that's an exclusive window to watch it. So it says here, Warner Brothers announced the news citing the hybrid streaming and theatrical release change as a strategic response to the impact of the ongoing global bastard, particularly in the U.S. All films will release on HBO Max in 4K Ultra HD and HDR on HBO Max, which is new. The 4K, It doesn't do 4K right now. After 1 month, the HBO Max exclusive window is up. Movies will continue to run in theaters in the United States and internationally, with all customary distribution windows applying to the title. Yeah. When's the last time a movie ran for a month?
Yeah.
Anyway, you were showing me something.
So, yeah, it says, this is from Variety. This was from 2 days ago. HBO Max ends free trial offer ahead of Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Kill it. You don't need it. You're introducing something that is well worth a trial to get into it. Okay, so it says here while release dates still could shift, there are currently words are hard.
That's 10 minutes in. Less than 10 minutes.
6 minutes in. Anyway, so okay, while release dates still could shift, these are the currently announced release dates for each of the movies in the Warner's 2021 slate. The Little Things, I'm not sure what that one is. Did you know about that one?
No.
Okay. It's January 29th, 2020. January 29th. Tom and Jerry, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to because I love that cartoon, is March 5th. The Many Saints of Newark is March 12th. Reminiscence. Words are hard. April 16th. Godzilla vs. Kong, May 21st. So I feel like that's the first big one, right?
Yeah.
The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, June 4th. In the Heights, which is the Lin-Manuel Miranda musical that is getting turned into a movie. Also things that don't necessarily always have the best track record. The musicals making the jump to screen.
Right.
But if they do it like Hamilton, it might be interesting. Where it was where it's actually they recorded the play.
I still haven't seen Hamilton.
Yeah, anyway, it's on Plus. That one's June 18th. Space Jam, A New Legacy, starring Douchey McDoucheface, July 16th. Just everyone skip that one. Just skip it. The Suicide Squad, August 6th. I think that at that point is the biggest one of the year so far. Mm-hmm. So that's their tent pole at this point. Dune is October 1st, which is moved up from the November whatever timeline that they said it was going to be. King Richard is November 19th. The Matrix 4 is December 22nd. And then to be announced are Cry Macho, Malignant, Those Who Wish Me Dead, Mortal Kombat, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
This is great. I think this is awesome. This is taking assets and making their streaming service worthwhile. This is taking assets and saying, this is our point of differentiation. So we're recording this on the 5th. By the way, happy birthday weekend.
Yes.
So my birthday is today. Darryl's birthday is Monday. Mulan just came out for free on Plus, but there's zero fanfare around it because they already blew their proverbial wad when they released it for $30 back in September or October, whenever that was. This is interesting. This is a great test. And I think if this goes well, all of a sudden the Peacock becomes much more interesting with Universal. Mm-hmm. Plus becomes much more interesting with Disney as long as they don't get too greedy. Netflix now has a has a mountain to climb, a hill to climb, right? Amazon gets more interesting with Prime because Amazon actually puts out some pretty decent movies. So yeah, I think this is interesting. I'm all for it. I kind of want to see it. I want to see how it works. I want to see these movies, and depending on what happens with the presidential race, we may have a mandatory lockdown from a federal level, which if there is, desist. But if that's the case, movie theaters are never going to open back up. They'll never recover.
No.
Which means we can buy a movie theater.
Oh.
After this is all done, and turn it into
for half pennies on the dollar.
No, I mean, we'll be able to buy it for an eighth of a Bitcoin. So, I mean, there's not going to be dollars anymore if that's the case. Get your crypto now. But yeah, it's it's interesting. I really want to see what happens with it.
Yeah. So they say in football, for example, they always say football is a copycat sport, in the sense that when something works, it trickles down to everyone else. Someone has to be the first person to use it, whether it be especially if you think about West Coast offenses or the Wildcat, anything like that. And to your point about if this works for WB, how it's going to trickle down to the other streaming services. It's going to happen, because my first thought after reading this was, I wonder what Disney is going to do, because they have a slate of movies they've pushed back as well. Most notably, for me at least, is Black Widow, and they've seen already the train wreck they caused with Mulan, the whole Mulan thing. I won't say train wreck, but it didn't hit like they were expecting it to do, like they were hoping it to do. So if this works. Yes, this does. First, this fundamentally changes everything about movie theaters. And as much as I love going to movie theaters, first of all, there's going to be some movies I'm just going to support by going to the theater.
So, and I think what it does is it changes what movies go into theaters.
Yes, exactly.
So you only are getting, and this is where I have the problem with it. We're only going to get the Avengers Endgame style movies in the theater. And all they're going to do is they're going to try and push like $1 billion films down our, we're trying to make $1 billion with this movie, quality be damned, or the douchey Oscar picks because they have to be in the theater, and even then they're not going to be wide release. Those are only going to be in Cal Arabia in New York. Took you a sec. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think this is cool. I think this is interesting. I think this is something that we should keep our eye on.
Yeah, like to paraphrase Hella, movie theaters are dead, as we know them at least. But again, things change, so we'll see how the structure changes with it, and I think it's beneficial to the customer. It's beneficial to us. Absolutely beneficial to us.
100%. Okay, so, moving on to the next bit. Our story that we keep covering that refuses to die. So Mads Mikkelsen came out and had some thoughts about taking over the role of Gellhart Grindelwald from Jonathan Depp. Jonathan. He's got to change his name to Jonathan, so that way he can still continue to get roles. Now his IMDb will be empty, but he can start over.
No, it's going to be Jonathan Deep. That's how he's going to pronounce it. Deepp. Deep. I like Mads Mikkelsen. I really do. Like him. Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with this because he didn't steal the role from Johnny Depp. Let's be very clear. This is something where Warner Brothers has made a decision, and they're moving on, and whatever, they're doing what they have to do. But his quotes here are really interesting. He was being interviewed by EW, and he said very humorously, they note, and you can go watch. I think you can watch this. He said, "Well, it's going to be me." So they asked him, "What's the difference between the villainous character? How would his version differ from Johnny Depp's?" He said, "Well, the difference is it's going to be me. So that's the difference. No, this is the tricky part. We're still working it out. There has to be a bridge between what Johnny did and what I'm going to do. And at the same time, I also have to make it my own. But also we have to find a few links to the previous version of the character in some bridges so it doesn't completely detach from what he's already masterfully achieved." When asked about how he felt about receiving the role under unusual circumstances, he says, "Job-wise, it's obviously super interesting and nice. It's also a shocker that it came after what happened, which is just super sad. I wish both of them the best. These are sad circumstances. I hope both of them will be back in the saddle again soon." So he's coming across very diplomatically.
Right.
He's also coming across as a very nice guy. So I think this is interesting. I think Johnny Depp will be in the movie at the very beginning because he's going to have to change his appearance again.
Right.
And you can't and maybe they do like a deep fake thing or something where they use his likeness. But I mean, they're paying him. Why not have him come on, shoot a couple scenes, do the Time Lord-esque transformation, and be done with it.
Right, and that's the thing I was thinking. The other thing, if they don't go that route, what they might do is show his character from the back or something, and something. Your idea is better. Just you're paying him, He's not going to be in the movie in the sense of being the main villain. Give him 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of
not even
2
minutes. 2 minutes is all you need,
right? And again, it goes with what Mikkelsen is saying as far as connecting the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we know from a standpoint of what's going on behind the scenes,
right?
But show that on screen. Anytime you can show something like that on screen, do it.
Well, here's the other thing, right? He was Colin Farrell in the first movie, and he made the change to Johnny Depp for the last 2 minutes of the first movie,
right?
Like, maybe that's not Grindelwald's final form. That's how you do it. You're like, okay, we know it's Grindelwald because he does evil shit,
right?
But that's not what he looks like.
That was Cell version 2, not Perfect Cell.
Yeah.
For your Dragon Ball fans out there. DBZ. Yeah, I don't see any Dragon Ball.
Dude, I don't watch anime. I don't like anime. I don't watch it. I understand people who do, and I'm very happy people have it. I'm very happy you love it. It's just not for me.
If today wasn't your birthday,
you wouldn't do anything about it.
I would
anyway.
I would look at you. I would give you a worse side eye.
You would look at me and you would give me a terse.
That says so much.
You might give me a rock.
No, I would do
raised eyebrow.
I would do the.
I mean, you do that to me all the time.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true.
Anyway.
That is so par for the course.
Yeah, Anyway, but no, this. I mean, hopefully this is the last time we talk about the story this year. I'm kind of over it, but they kept like coming up with new stuff.
And I'm a big fan of Mikkelsen. I really like Mikkelsen. I told when we were talking about this earlier, last week or the week before, I mentioned the movie Polar. It's a Netflix original, which he was in. Really good movie. I actually liked him as Caecilius in Doctor Strange.
Yep.
He didn't have the deepest character as far as the writing goes, but his performance was well enough. I liked.
I mean, as most villains, he was rather as most villains who are the red herring villain, he was rather one note. So,
right.
But yeah. All right. So moving on to the next one. Rian Johnson continues to be an idiot. So, Bounding into Comics has this amazing article, because Rian keeps talking about The Last Jedi. If you want people to stop making fun of you, dude, stop talking about it. Just stop. Yeah. Anna, the Star Wars girl, have you checked out her YouTube channel?
I have not.
She's great. She's part of the Fandom Menace.
I love that Fandom Menace.
Anyway, she's got a great rant. I love her videos because she rants like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. She gets real loud like he does. Mm-hmm. So she's very excitable. But she has really good points, and she's a lifelong Star Wars fan, and it's pretty cool. But so someone just asked, silly question, did Rian personally title Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi, or was that handed to him? And he says, it was me, had it very early on in the writing process. Anyway, so from Delray, there's a Star Wars book that was called The Last Jedi that came out during the dark times with the EU, when that was all that was carrying us through as Star Wars fans. It's about a Jedi named Pax Pavin who routinely attacked the Empire using guerrilla tactics. It's essentially the standalone book at like kind of to cap a trilogy. And obviously there was Star Wars number 49 was called The Last Jedi from Marvel Comics back in the day. So yeah, but anyway, the other thing is someone asked if he had thought about using Anakin's ghost to speak to Luke.
And this is worse than the whole Last Jedi thing.
And I'm just gonna read his tweet because I don't want to paraphrase this idiocy. He said briefly for the tree, and someone called it the tree boring scene, by the way. Briefly for the tree burning scene, but Luke's relationship was with Vader, not really Anakin. Which seemed like it would complicate things more than that moment allowed. Yoda felt like the more impactful teacher for that moment. This dude never watched Return of the Jedi. Never, ever, never. So after Darth Vader cut Luke's hand off and he found out that it was Anakin Skywalker, Luke's main mission was to save his dad. When Luke talked to Vader on the forest moon of Endor, and it was the forest moon of Endor. He was not on... Anyway. He was talking to Anakin the whole time.
So I had to look this up because I wanted to get it right. and again, this is what the internet says. For the Mark Twain, we've heard this quote before.
Yeah.
It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than open it and remove all doubt.
Yeah.
And Ryan opened his mouth.
Yeah.
And removed all doubt that he knows nothing about Star Wars.
There is a great reply. This confirms to Rian Johnson. This confirms that you have no idea what Luke was doing or an understanding of the overall story.
You have none.
Luke was addressing Anakin the whole time. He was psychologically breaking him down using love and compassion. The good invader is Anakin.
Yeah.
This is another reply. You didn't watch Return of the Jedi, do you? The whole point of Luke's success was that he saw Anakin in that suit and not Vader. Hence why he managed to turn Anakin to the light again. And then sarcastically, someone posted, Luke's relationship was with Vader, not really Anakin, with the picture of them at the bottom of the Lambda class shuttle without the helmet on, because Anakin wanted to look at his kid one time.
With his own eyes.
With his own eyes. With thine own eyes.
Yes.
Anyway.
Now,
I cannot stand this guy.
So, I will say this. One part of his quote or his tweet where he said he thought Yoda would be the better appearance or have the better
teacher.
Better teacher
He said the
in
better
that regard.
teacher.
Okay. That's because Yoda did do the teaching for Luke. I can get with that.
So, but our opinion on Yoda has to change a little bit with the things we've learned over the last couple weeks in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So Yoda was a deadbeat dad, plain and simple.
Well, we don't know.
I mean, Grogu was left to his own devices as a scant, 4-year-old tadpole. I don't know. I don't know what he looks like at that point. But Yaddle had already been done dirty and died protecting Anakin. So, if you do Anakin in that scene, and it can be Hayden Christensen, I'm fine with that. If you do an Anakin Force Ghost in that scene, how much more impactful is that to bring Luke back into the world, right? Because that's what that scene was about. Instead of, and as much as I love Yoda and I love Frank Oz, it was a sight gag. That's all it was. When he bonked him on the head with his ghost cane,
Which, again, we know it was a callback from, Empire Strikes Back.
Right, I get it, but it was a sight gag. Yeah. That's all it was.
And again, I don't want to get caught, because I don't have a problem with him saying that, honestly. My problem is the fact that he said that
he's never watched Star Wars before he made I'm going to use air quotes this time, Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I will say, with him saying everything else, that makes his decision talking about Yoda give him less credence, because he was making it based on information he obviously has no idea about.
Yeah.
But overall, the fact that he thought, oh, Luke was talking with Vader, he had the relationship with Vader.
Yeah.
He completely missed the whole point.
Do you watch the Star Wars Theory YouTube channel?
Here and there.
So that guy, I forget his name, but the Star Wars Theory YouTube channel, if you guys aren't watching it, it's great. He made a really excellent point. So we are unfortunately making our way to the sequel trilogies via The Mandalorian, which has been so good. But what if Luke shows up, and the reason Luke went to the island wasn't because he was sad? What if he went to the island because his M count is so high, he has to stay away from the Empire?
That would make
So Star Wars Theory thought this up, and it's like, all right, now I can buy into that, and that changes Luke Skywalker a little bit. For what they gave us, or as people like to call him, Jake Skywalker. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, he just needs to stop talking about this stuff. Because
I would appreciate if people just stop asking him about it.
Yeah,
but they won't, because it drives conversation.
Well, I mean, it gets clicks.
Yes,
it gets us talking about it.
That's true.
I mean, we didn't have to talk about this, and I've said probably 100 times, I don't really want to talk about The Last Jedi anymore. Yet I keep falling into the trap.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing: is everything about Rey and Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi, I actually like. I thought it was very interesting. The stuff of the two of them together. The Rey and Luke stuff I didn't care for. Or I guess the Rey and Jake stuff I didn't care for, but yeah. So anyway, all right. So moving on, we're gonna stick with Star Wars here for a second. There's more stuff coming out of the that book that's coming out with the the Star Wars 1999 to 2005, and it's got in there Lucas's original arc for Anakin, and it's really close to what we got. But so he had been sitting around on the set of The Last Jedi, the Revenge of the Jedi, and he was talking to Larry Kasdan and Howard. I don't know how to say his name, but he'd been talking to some of the other people, and he had said essentially he broke it out for him. So the backstory for Anakin is he began hanging out with the Emperor, who at that point nobody knew was bad because he was an elected official. He was he was a politician. Richard M. Nixon was his name.
Oh.
He subverted the Senate and finally took over, and he was really evil. But he pretended to be a really nice guy. Luke's father gets subverted by the Emperor. He gets a little weird at home, and his wife begins to figure out things are going wrong, and she confides in Ben, who is his mentor. Like, this is great. I love the casual nature of which he's explaining this, right? On his missions through the galaxy, Anakin has been going off and doing his Jedi thing. A lot of Jedis have been getting killed, and it's because they turn their back on him, and he cuts them down. Yeah, I'm all in on this right now. The president is turning into the Emperor, and Luke's mother suspects that something has happened to her husband. She is pregnant. Anakin gets worse and worse, and finally, Ben has to fight him, and he throws him down into a volcano, and Vader is all beat up.
Yeah, I love the casual, because it starts off with Luke starts hanging out.
Yeah,
with
Anakin starts hanging out with
Anakin.
Anakin. Like, this is a little less like groomy than what we got from Pedotine in the prequel. Anyway, when he falls into the pit, there's hardly anything left of him. By the time the Emperor's troops fish him out of the drink, then when Ben finds out the Vader has been fished out and is in the hands of the Empire, he's worried. He goes back to Vader's wife and explains that Anakin is the bad guy, the one killing all the Jedis. Mrs. Skywalker has had the kids, the twins, 2 little babies who are 6 months old or so. The Skywalker line is very strong with the Force, so Ben says, I think we should protect the kids because they may be able to help us right the wrongs that your husband has created in the universe. Ben takes one and gives him to a couple out there on Tatooine, and he gets his little hideout in the hills and watches him grow. Ben can't raise Luke himself because he's a wanted man. Leia and Luke's mother go to Alderaan, and they're taken in by the king there, who is a friend of Ben's. She dies shortly thereafter, and Leia is brought up by her foster parents. She knows that her real mother died. Explains the, Anyway, I think you can make Ben take the blame for Vader. I should have given him more training. I should have sent him to Yoda, but I thought that I could be as good a teacher as Yoda. I wish that I could stop the pestilence that I've unleashed on the galaxy. His burden is that he feels responsible for everything Vader has done. This would have been perfect. This, I love one. Like I said, I love just the irreverent, casual, he went to Mrs. Skywalker and said, "Hey, Mrs. Skywalker, there's something wrong with your guy.
He's acting weird.
He's being weird. Yeah. People keep dying around him. I don't know what's going on."
So when you're reading that, in my head, I'm listening to it in the voice of Luis, Michael Peña's Luis from Ant.
and then.
Yeah. So yeah, that, and again, I like what you said, where it's a more fully fleshed out version than what we got. What we got were kind of the cliff notes of that.
Yep. So,
which again, I do think Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels.
It's in the top 5 for Star Wars.
I like it. But if we would have gotten some more, because there are still some holes in that movie and things that were kind of
Natalie Portman.
No. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart. And then the subsequent Darth Vader's no.
So when Haley was little and we would do like practice spelling and stuff, I have the Star Wars app on my phone and it's got all those sounds, and if she'd spell it wrong, I would press that and she would get so mad. Like still to this day she gets mad. Like you can ask her about it when we're done. Or maybe I'll just play it when we walk out and she'll get pissed. She'll try and come at me like a spider monkey across the table chip. But yeah, no, you're right. So I don't know. It's like, I love hearing this. I'm definitely getting that book. It's like $250 or something like that. It's like a big, expensive thing. So it's not like my nice new art of Avatar down there. But
when's it supposed to be out?
Next year.
Okay, I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I mean, we've only got
1,000 years,
26 days left in the year. So
well, technically,
in 2020 time, that's 473,000 years.
Yeah,
but still, yeah. Anyway, but no, I think it's pretty cool. So
yeah, I do like that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
so.
And I just love this. I love hearing George talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all right. So the next one, because we're getting there. Tom Cruise in space.
Go.
All right, so Doug Liman's directed new heist movie romantic comedy Lockdown has been acquired by Warner Brothers with the intention of the picture premiering early 2021 as a Max original. But apparently he and Tom Cruise are gonna take off in one of the SpaceX launches and go into space and shoot some footage.
Yeah,
I love Tom Cruise. I know he's a crazy bastard Scientologist and like he may be a horrible person. I don't know.
And he's a crazy bastard because he does all his crazy ass stunts.
Yeah. Like, do you think Scientology is gonna fund that through like SpaceX? They're gonna be like, here, we want him to do this because, you know, he gets pennies on the dollar for what he makes. Mm-hmm. We get the rest of it. So
kind of like the boys.
Right? Anyway, no, this is just really short. I just thought like I knew this movie was coming out, but it's got like a pretty decent cast in there. But the important thing here is it's Tom Cruise in outer space. The other important thing here is Ben Stiller is in a movie with Tom Cruise again, which that's always gold.
I just love that. Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Anne Hathaway, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Stephen Merchant, who I love, Lucy Boynton, Ben Kingsley, Duale Hill, and Stephen Knight wrote the script. So, and Mindy Kaling. So as long as Mindy Kaling's in a small part, she's great. Any more than like 15 minutes of a 2-hour movie with Mindy Kaling is too much Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, I like how they did in The Office where they gave her little.
Well, I mean, part of that was she was a writer and producer on The Office, and she understood that stuff. Like, but Kelly is one of my favorite characters on The Office because she is so dysfunctionally great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I don't know. I'll definitely watch this. I like Doug Liman movies. I like Tom Cruise. I like Ben Stiller. I like Anne Hathaway. So yeah. I like Chiwetel Ejiofor too. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
That's how I say it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of pronouncing it as like phonetically. Is that good? What if it's spelled Chiwetel Ejiofor, but it's really like Barry Johnson? All right. So that was just a quick one. All right. So the last bit of news bites. Vikings final 10 episodes are upon us this month.
Yes, December 30th.
Yeah. Premiering on Prime in one drop.
Yeah, which surprised me.
Dude, I had to like wiping out my eyes to make sure I read that right.
Yeah, because funny enough, I just postponed my YouTube TV subscription just because I wasn't. Because again, sports, I'm not really whatever. So I was like, okay, how am I going to find Vikings? And then this came out. I guess somebody was watching out for me because I saw the trailer.
Maybe I should stop making fun of you before you eat.
So I saw the trailer first, and then I think it was the next day.
Wait, there's a trailer?
Yeah, first, like, was it 2 days ago? See, the final season's trailer.
I didn't even see that. I missed that completely.
I missed it, and somebody was talking about it on a Reddit thread.
All right.
I think it was a Vikings subreddit or something. And I cannot wait. Again, I started watching this show when it first came out back in the day, and it's changed. The cast and just everything about it has changed, which some people stepped away after season 4. But yeah, this is a final season.
R.I.P. Ragnar.
Yeah, and this is one of those things we've talked about. I don't mind a show ending when they are able to say, okay, this is the end, so they can prepare for it.
I really like shows ending.
Yeah.
Like especially when they've had this. Like when they're like, okay, we're building, this is how we want to tell this story. Like I think The Leftovers is a great example of that. Mm-hmm. The last season of The Leftovers is super weird, but it's one of my favorite seasons of television.
I need to go back and watch that show.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I find this exciting. I think we'll have more to break down on this later in the year. We'll probably talk about this a little bit.
I do kind of wish they did it like they're doing the Expanse.
Yeah.
And just had it from...
Well, because it's going to overlap the Expanse.
Right.
And it's like, why couldn't we wait till February?
Yeah.
So, but hey, it is what it is. It's exciting. I think I'm caught up. Like, whatever's on Amazon now, is that all? Okay, so yeah, so I'm all caught up. So I'll be able to finish in real time.
Oh, cool. Sweet. Yeah, I didn't. I thought you were still behind.
No, I got caught up. I got bored and I went back and watched like the half of the season that I had watched that I kind of like after Ragnar died.
Okay.
And then watched everything else that was on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah. So I don't know. Good stuff. It's coming soon. We'll obviously talk more about it. By the way, our News Bites this week is apparently brought to you by Geek Tyrant because Darryl was in charge of News Bites this week, and that's the only site he visits, apparently.
It was a last second. I said, let me check, because I hadn't checked the site in probably like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff was
just
I
mean,
like, whoa.
So Geek Tyrant's a great site.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So continuing with our prep for The Expanse, which, coming back is great. We're talking about the first ladies of The Expanse this week. I know we said we were just going to talk about Bobbie, and there we go. We were going to talk about Bobbie and Naomi, but I was thinking, how can we leave Chrisjen Avasarala?
I've practiced that.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to say her real name, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Shohreh.
Shohreh. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, do you remember her? Did you watch 24?
I don't. I think the first 2 seasons I watched.
So she was on the second or third season of 20. I think she was on the third. She was on one of the seasons, maybe the fourth season. But her son was like tied in with the thing and like ends up dying. And she's always like yelling his name throughout the whole season. Mm-hmm. But she was great because she was like the badass mama bear too. So honestly, like when I saw she was in this show, when she was in The Expanse, that was one of the other things that made me excited for it. But yeah, so we're just gonna break it down. I figure we talk about Naomi first because Naomi Nagata and Dominique Tipper, she is the first lady of The Expanse. Mm-hmm. She's one of the most important characters. She's the first, main female character we meet, and she gets so much in this show, and she's such a huge part of the book, especially the part that we're probably never going to get to see. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's the belter, and she's grown up on poor mining ships and everything, and it says here, growing up as a poor belter on poor belter mining ships meant that Naomi's early life was lived on a knife's edge. Nearly suffocating, starving, and becoming marooned were regular occurrences throughout her childhood. Self-educated with multiple advanced degrees and having risen to the rank of chief or engineer aboard the ice hauler, the Canterbury, or the Cant, she appears to be a model belter success story, though she carries with her a secret pain. The coolest thing about Naomi for me is she's like Shrek. She's an onion.
Okay.
There are so many layers to this character, and in the book especially, and I think they've They've left some of her story out, not a whole lot. But Dominique Tipper has done such an amazing job with her. And especially with when they separated her from the rest of the Rossi crew, I always felt like her and Amos were kind of a matched set, right? Like salt and pepper shakers type of a thing. Like you couldn't have one without the other, and that's kind of how it was in the first season. And then the second season, they kind of replaced Amos with Holden. And then the third season is where we really get to see her shine.
Right.
And, I mean, we were just talking. I think the third season is the best season of the show.
Absolutely.
And mainly because of her work on the Behemoth.
Right. And one of the things the first two seasons, yes, we had friction between the crew, especially in the beginning. Before they knew each other.
Yeah.
But it's a greater friction when you have a family that is together and strong and then fracture away than it is to have people just four, well, we're not counting Ched, but to have four people to come together that, you know, are learning each other.
Yeah.
So that's why I think season 3 was so powerful because...
And they go a step further. They learn each other, but then they love each other.
Yes.
And they are a family.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the Rossi crew.
And that's why what some of the things that Naomi does hurt so much is because she is that family. Mm-hmm. It's not just, you know, this is my crew member that, you know, didn't tell me something. This is my family member that didn't tell me something. And it's not just something massive and important.
So spoilers, right, obviously. Yeah. So, like, you know, giving the proto-molecule to Fred is one thing. But what we're about to learn about her in season 5, which she let the rest of the guys know a little bit at the end of the season. I'm excited to see how this plays out with her hunt for Philip.
Right.
Because I love that part of the book. Like that, like the adventure she gets to go on her own, like, is the most cinematic thing James S.A. Corey has ever written in a series of cinematic things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm a huge fan of hers. Dominique Tipper. I there are parts of Naomi that they've actually given her more agency, because in early on in the books she is, you know, number 2 and she is second to Jim more often than she should have been, considering like her skill set. But at the same time, she is the first lady of the Expanse, and she's amazing.
Yeah, and one of the things that...
And super sexy. Let's not forget that.
I love Dominique Tipper. Yeah. And she's also that North Star for Holden. Yeah. Because, again, you go back to season 1 with Holden. Right. And he, you know, when he's with Miller, and he's like, I've never killed anybody before. And then you see, you know, the next couple seasons where he's kind of gunning people down side by side.
He goes off the reservation.
Yeah. But when he's going to kill, going to the cell of Cortazar, and Cortazar's gone, and then they have that conversation. He has a conversation with Naomi, and he tells her, I was going to kill him. She's like, you can't do that. And he's like, what? It's okay with Miller? Yeah. When Miller does it? And she's like, yeah, because Miller's not. You're not Miller.
Miller's Miller.
Yeah.
He's a douche.
And he tells her, he's like, you know, I need you to basically keep me on that path.
So I love that you called her his North Star and not his moral compass. Because her moral compass is broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, as a Belter OPA terrorist, she killed a whole bunch of people.
And whether or not she purposefully did that, she made it possible. So
she knew what she was doing, and I think she did not accept the consequences until much, much later, right?
Which it kind of falls in line with season 4 on Illis, and I'm forgetting her name. Who, when they blew up the landing pad, you know, she and
it started with an L.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those things. And when you're working with bad people, and then they take what you do and go another level than past what you expect, it's still on you because you know who you're working with. Yeah, like it only so much. You can only go so long with saying I didn't know.
Like Oppenheimer is, you know. He didn't press the button, he didn't drop the bomb, but he's still responsible for all those people who died in Japan. You know, I mean, plain and simple. You know, but he's also responsible for all the things that splitting the atom did positive too. Yes. So it's like a quarterback. You can't just be all goat, and you can't just be all, Yeah,
it's usually somewhere in between.
Yep.
And your whole onion comment, circling back to that perfect example.
I think that's the beauty of her. I mean, she's got some rotten parts to her too, but overall, she is. Why Alex is the heart and soul. She is the North Star for these guys. She is where they go to write what they're doing, because she has had such a different lived experience. Because think about this. She's the only belter on the crew of the Rossi.
Right.
Jim is
2 Earthers and a Martian.
I mean, Jim is an Earther military. Amos is Amos, an Earther criminal.
Yeah.
And Alex is a Martian military, Martian pilot. And they're out there flying around the belt, doing things for the belt. And without her, I would hate to see what they would do. I mean, when Jim goes crazy about the proto molecule, and before she brings him back around, when she tells him, "I don't like who you're becoming," that is a climactic part of the series that leads Jim Holden in a much different direction. And then, as we see with the scientific accuracy of the show in Zero G, she pushed him in one direction and at the same time pushed herself off in a way that she did not intend to go with the work on the behemoth.
Right.
And I love it. I mean, I just think it's a master stroke of storytelling and character development. And, I don't think Dominique Tipper gets enough credit for being one of the best actresses in sci-fi.
Oh, like the scene where, Holden and Amos are attacked by the proto-molecule monster, whatever you want to call it. Caliban. That's what it's called. Project Caliban. When they were on the Rossi.
Yeah.
And that scene,
I like to call him Gus, but that's just me.
All right, so. Gus is fine too. I wonder what Gus. Oh no, Gus got burned up. Oh, rip Gus. Anyway,
rest in power, Gus. Rest in power.
Rest in particles, Gus. So yeah, that
nerd.
That's one of the.
I don't get to call people a nerd very often.
So that I just watched that episode this morning, and them saying their goodbyes, and just her being able to emote is just reach you as a viewer is so powerful. And she did that all throughout. She's done that throughout the series.
Absolutely.
But especially, like you were saying, season 3, whether it was on the Somnambulist, Somnambulist.
I always thought that word was pronounced Somnambulist.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's spelled. And it wasn't until I watched that episode that I realized it was Somnambulist. I was like, oh. I've been saying that word wrong my whole life.
So from there to when she almost saw Holden die, to her work on the behemoth, to her admission to the crew and what she did, and trying to make up for it, but also not saying I did wrong, because she still believed in what she did for the Belters, but she started to understand why her family was so pissed at her.
Right.
So
and I think the other thing too is just because she is a Belter, she has a different view of what life is, and life is expendable to the Belt. Life is not this super precious thing to them. If you are too far outside the norms of what they deem as societally correct, you're spaced.
Yeah. Well, as they said, the average age earlier in the show, the average age on Earth is 120.
Yeah.
Mars, even greater. The Belt, I think it was like 68.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big of a disparity.
It was like there. The 1940s life expectancy. So, all right. So, wow, we're going long. So moving on. Bobbie, who is played by the beautiful Frankie Adams, hilarious Frankie Adams, crazy powerful Frankie Adams. Like I love Bobbie Draper. I didn't care for Bobbie in the book at first. And as I was kind of intermixed my reading with the show, and it was Frankie in season 3 that was like, all right, let me reevaluate Bobbie here, because and Bobbie is by no means a Mary Sue. Bobbie's a badass who comes from a badass family who was raised to be the pinnacle of Martian Marine excellence.
Right.
I do love the saying, the second most dangerous thing in the galaxy is a UN Marine. right? And I love how that's kind of their like credo.
Yeah.
Because they give respect, but at the same time they know like we're where it's at. So real quick, like there's not as much about Bobbie. She's First Lieutenant Roberta Bobbie Draper. She's the toughest member of her squad and is a disciplinarian when it comes to anyone acting out of line. This is the important thing. She's a fiercely nationalistic Martian dedicated to the dream of terraforming the planet. Like that right there, that sentence right there is really, really important to the journey that Bobbie takes, because she has drank the Martian Kool-Aid. She is Mars-aid.
Yeah, and what I had here is you can look at it as indoctrination in the sense of how they, instill Martian pride to and again, it's more than just nationalistic in the sense of we want our nation to be the best.
She's woke.
Yeah,
she's Martian woke.
They are wanting to basically turn a dust planet into a garden. So that and the sacrifice something like that massive requires, it's understandable why you have to have a all-in buy-in. This isn't kind of like nationalistic in the sense of what we look at today. Like if you look at America, what country?
No, this is looking into the past when and they use this example in the show where you had these people who were building cathedrals and things like that were going to take 100 years. They were never going to see it finished.
Right.
But they believed so much in the importance of what they were doing that they were going to get to see it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I thought about this when I first started watching the show, but this is I think my third, maybe fourth rewatch. I'm not sure. I was thinking about it last night and this morning, where Bobbie, you're talking about her transformation from season 2 to season 3 to season 4.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a fanboy of Captain America. Everybody knows that. I really saw a lot of his journey in her, in the sense of, when he joins the military, he has, I know he says I don't like bullies, but he is, and he can defy orders, but it's all about doing the job for my country. You see some of the cracks in the Avengers, and then the big crack obviously in Winter Soldier. And this is the same way with Bobbie, because again, that military indoctrination, that Martian
Winter Soldier or Civil War?
Winter Soldier, when he finds out about S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, it's all got to go.
Yeah, it's a lie.
Yeah. So with Bobbie, she finds the same thing out when first she's like, Martian pride. Martian. And again, I'm going back to, my favorite reactors, Nikki and Steven react. When she gets first introduced, they're like Nikki, she's like, I do not like her at all.
You weren't supposed to.
Yeah, which is great. And I was kind of wondering, because again, I had been introduced to her in a couple books before the series. So I was really concerned and really wondering who they were going to get to play this character. And I think Frankie Adams is great choice.
Oh, yeah.
Great choice. So watching her come from the fact that, Earthers are our enemies. Mars first, Mars this, Mars that, to seeing, some of the nasty weeds under the surface of that. I mean, and she does a great job of showing how heartbreaking it is learning the truth,
especially in season 4.
Yes,
especially like Bobbie's really like Bobbie as part of the Rossi crew in season 3 is awesome. The short story about Bobbie that she from the books, like the supplemental story that then becomes her arc in season 4, is heartbreaking.
Right.
It's just heartbreaking for her because everything she's ever believed in, she found out is expendable. And because the ring gate is a thing now, is also obsolete.
Yeah. And that, to spend more than the greater part of your life believing in this one thing and then having basically taken from you and say that's never going to happen, is it, in a way, it kind of I kind of go in mind of how certain times soldiers that have sacrificed so much for their countries come home, and then people give them the cold shoulder. Yeah, and again, it's not that you do it for the attention, for the accolades, but the fact that you come home from something and then you get no respect, you get no acknowledgement of your sacrifice, none. That has to be. I don't care who you are. That hits you somewhere. That has to.
Yep.
And that's what we see in Bobbie, and in season 4, especially like you said, especially in season 4, that culmination of figuring out all of this that I had been built to learn, or that I have been taught. It's never going to happen. I see the dirtiness of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point?
Right. So, cool. All right. So, moving on to Chrisjen Avasarala. She, there's no other character like her.
No.
In sci-fi. There's none. If this was Star Trek, she would be the villain. If this were Star Wars, she would be a much more ineffective politician than she is. I guess you would consider her the deep state in the Expanse. I mean, she essentially has her own shadow government. And Aaron Wright accuses her of it when he has his own shadow government in the second season. But she has her own shadow government going on, and she puts Earth first in everything, like Bobbie does with Mars. She puts Earth first in everything that she does. The difference between her and Bobbie is, one, she doesn't soften on that stance, and two, she puts all human life above everything else too. So because she looks at everybody as human, and not just like, they're not Martians, they're not belters, they're not dusters, they're not skinnies, they're human.
Yeah. She is a less idealized version of Holden in that sense, because Holden's like, everybody, we're just one race.
Right.
And he's like, why don't everybody get along? Well, she understands that everybody's not going to get along.
Right.
I am kind of like Holden in the sense where when people fight over things, and
are you saying you identify with Holden?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the sense of when people fight over things, it's like,
are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my choice. My right.
I didn't realize you were allowed to identify with someone like Holden.
So in that sense,
I just blew your whole train of thought. See, I thought you were supposed to identify with Fred Johnson.
No.
But you have the same hair.
Yeah, not quite. Although I really liked his hair in season 4.
In season 4, you have the same hair.
I like that. I like how
I'm sorry. I'm just
like
being
his introduction.
I'm being an asshole.
I'm used to that, everybody.
It just gets back to something we were talking about the other day.
Oh yeah, it does. But from a
like Plastic Man.
Yeah. So, but from like an ideological perspective with Holden, it's when he says what he says, it's one of those things that said, well, it makes sense. We're all human, but we're all human. But what happens is Avasarala, she looks at it that way, but she understands the deeper layers that it's not going to be that way.
She's the person who understands the consequences.
Yes.
And nobody else ever thinks. I think Holden thinks a little bit about consequences later on in the series.
I was about to say, sometimes he's like a pit bull.
But he's very much a, I'm going to say this. Like, damn the torpedoes. I'm going to say this. She's the torpedoes have been damned. This is how I'm going to stop those.
Right.
And at the same time, like, take it to the next level. I think one of the best scenes from the books we're about to see we know we're going to see it on the show with her and Amos. When Amos comes back to Earth and she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, keeps calling her Chrissy. So I don't like, it's the clip is out there. You can go see it. It's great. She is, I don't feel like James Holden is the patriarch of the show. She's the matriarch of the show.
The matriarch, yeah.
And I think as they, they took their sweet time getting everyone together into season 3, and now everything like goes through her, which is nice. Right. Because she's so great. My favorite bit of her is also one of my least favorite things about the show, was her election. The reason I didn't like it is because they recast her husband Arjun,
and that
with
really
this
took a lot
really
away.
off-putting actor.
Right.
I don't remember his name. I don't really care. I did not like the actor that they picked. I did not like the aggressiveness with which Arjun came at her with, especially because they picked someone who looked significantly younger than her. And they also picked someone who I never believed was on the same level as her. Like, he was so far beneath her. Where the original actor playing Arjun, Brian,
was it George?
I think Brian George, yeah. Is like, they were great. Like, even though he's a lowly professor of whatever, and she's the most powerful person in the galaxy, like, she viewed them as equals, and he did not think he was below her.
Right.
But this actor that they picked was definitely below her.
They felt more like rivals than anything.
Yeah. And I know they have the little like falling out bit in the book, right? Which leads to what happens with Arjun. But it did not feel as adversarial, like you said. Like, it was a natural fight that happened between a married couple, not a, I don't know you anymore. Like, who are you? You know,
it lost for me at least, it lost any type of power and potency having that new actor in there. And it's, again, the guy might be fine as an actor. He was just the wrong choice.
Yeah, he was the wrong choice for the role.
One, he was the wrong choice in how he, his appearance as well as his portrayal of Arjun.
Yep.
And it took away a lot of the development and what we see Chrisjen go through with, as you said, with her and Arjun, and that split during the election.
So, but you have to think, is he stood by, like, this is the same guy who stood by her to go through everything that she did to out Jules Pierre-Mal, to out Aaron Wright, to replace the Secretary of the UN, to get him to do what he was doing. She goes through so in both versions of her. She goes through so much and sacrifices so much that it really took it felt like they tried to take something away from her that wasn't theirs to take away. But at the end of the day, I mean, she's just Shohreh is such a great actress.
Yeah.
Like, she could read the phone book and we'd be captivated.
Yeah, and Avasarala, I called her, like, in my notes. I said she's the Iron Lady, basically. Yeah. Of the Expanse.
Oh yeah.
In the sense of she never really.
She's Churchill, dude.
Yeah,
she's Churchill.
And think about it. Like, I'm thinking about her interactions with everyone. She never really softens, except, again, we're going back to Arjun. You see that, especially in season 1. One of the times when they're on the roof. I think it was season 1. It might have been season 2.
It was season 2.
Okay, season 2, when they were on the roof, you can see that softer side of her. But overall,
he's the only one who gets.
Yes, and that's what I like about her character. I'm thinking about Rorschach in Watchmen, where he's like, never compromise.
Yeah,
she has that in the way she talks to people. Now, again, she does. She has the political acumen to change the voice. And so when we had Bobbie testifying about what she saw,
right,
she knew how to dig deep to have Bobbie let down her defenses to admit what happened.
Right.
But overall, she still has that. I won't say it's like a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
But she is, again, she's that Iron Lady. She has that iron will, and it's what you need.
Yep.
In her position. And I like what she said to the secretary. He was like, why didn't you ever run? This was in like this season. She was like, I like getting shit done.
Yeah, exactly. I loved her with Nick Tarby, because he got her son killed on the show. In the book, her son died at a young age. But that relationship was really, really good and special to me. My actual favorite thing about her is from the book. And it's about her grandkids. She has a favorite, and she has one who she hates. And the one who she hates because she is just like her. And like, it's great. It's a fantastic little bit of like nuance to this very, straightforward and forthright character who tells you everything you want or everything that she's thinking. Yeah, she has these 2 grandchildren. One she loves, one she hates. Yeah, she treats them the exact same way.
And that's, admittedly, that's one of those things would be hard to kind of.
You can't do that in the book because you don't have the inner monologue because it's like, oh, this idiot's talking again. But it's just one of those things that I really, truly love. And I think, everyone talks about Star Trek Discovery and like, oh, they're doing this and identity this, woke that. The Expanse does all of this without patting themselves on the back. Mm-hmm. They put these 3 women who are 3 very different characters who are, to quote the quoting, strong women who don't need no man, right? Because none of them do. And they pass the Bechdel test like every time because they have conversations without talking about, oh, I'm so in love.
Yeah. And we're not even mentioning Kamina Drummer in this.
Dude, like, I mean, so Drummer's hard because in the book, she's like 4 different characters in the book.
Characters, right.
Just like Statlander's character. He's her first officer on the Behemoth.
Oh,
I don't know.
We both had.
Brain fart. Anyway, but no, Drummer's an amazing character, but like she's not a part of the Rossi crew. She's only been on the Rossi once in the show. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't think that since talking about this, like it's not that she's not an important character, but at the same time she is, she's very much a supporting character to the rest of the story.
Right.
These 3 are the story.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was just kind of expanding upon what you were saying about the strength.
But
of
no,
their
you're right. They
characters.
do. They have. I mean, they have the strongest female characters, and Bobbie Draper, Frankie Adams is Australian Samoan. Amazing combination. I love her accent. I love just the strength when you watch her. Like, she's just strong, and not just physically, mentally. And you can tell this. Dominique Tipper is this cerebral actress who brings, like, she has a very hard role because she has to be Mr. Scott and, Bill Nye the Science Guy and Bob Ross all at the same time, right? Because she's an art, like, she is a scientific artist.
Right.
And improvisation is the thing that makes Naomi so vital to any ship that she's on. And Dominique Tipper has to do this like she's been doing it her whole life. And she does, and it's great. And then, Shohreh is the matriarch of the story. Mm-hmm. She is, she's not the focal point by any stretch of the imagination, but she's the fulcrum that makes everything happen.
Right.
So,
and it's Klaus Ashford.
Oh, Ashford. Thank you. Yeah. So, but yeah. All right.
Tragedy time.
Yeah. I mean, there's. Yeah, I mean, it's... So this only had like 22 minutes of episode.
And spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, definitely spoilers. So this episode, The Tragedy, is directed by Robert Rodriguez. I knew he was directing an episode. I didn't know which one. I thought they were going to save him for the finale, but they did not. Written by Jon Favreau. Came out Friday, December 4th. Pedro Pascal... Tamara Morrison returns. Ming-Na Wen returns. Giancarlo Esposito finally shows back up in an expanded scene. Gina Carano, what's up, bae?
Yep.
And then just some other people. Anyway, so I'll just go through the summary. Oh, actually, like I have the whole thing here kind of like parsed out. But so Mando and Grogu are flying to Tython, and I love it because he keeps saying Grogu, and he's like, oh? And he laughs every time he looks at him. It's like, this is what we all did. Yeah. Like when Ahsoka did it, when he did it, and Grogu was like, huh? And he kept doing it, and he kept laughing, right? So I don't know which one of the stunt doubles is in the suit for this, because but they did, like, their body language was great, and like you could tell like they were smiling underneath the helmet, which is very hard to do.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was great. So they go there. They're flying to Tython. It had a great line. He said, "It's too small to land. We're gonna have to go the rest of the way with the windows down." And it's like, oh, that is like
the use of the jetpack in this show.
The jetpack pissed me off in this episode. So
that's funny. I said, but the general use of the jetpack is great.
Mando is dumb. Plain and simple. So anyway, so they park the Razor Crest. They fly up to the Seeing Stone. He puts them on there. And I love, he's like, are you feeling anything? Do you feel it yet? You know, he's just like badgering him like some little kid. Like almost like he's a cultist who's not familiar with the rest of the galaxy.
And doesn't know how to speak with anyone else.
Yes. So they're there. He's coaxing him into it. And then who should show up? Slave One.
Yes.
Just in the so my buddy Casey is a huge Boba Fett fan, and I asked, like, did you yelp out loud? And he's like, yeah. So I saw it and I was like, ugh. So Boba Fett is my least favorite character in Star Wars.
Yeah, he's definitely not.
So
there. He's in the middle of the pack for me.
Now I will say, Dave Filoni seems to be on a mission to recanonize the expanded universe, because the version of Boba Fett we get in this episode is very much in line with who he is in the comics and who he is in the books. As far as who he is in the movies, like the visual medium. After this episode, I was jokingly calling him the biggest Mary Sue in all of Star Wars. So, because he shows up and he's all of a sudden a badass. Anywho, so they show up. Den's like, we got to go. And he turns around and Grogu has turned the Seeing Stone on, which was kind of, I loved his little hands and the little ohm position there. I thought that was great. And so he's like, oh, all right, well, I got to go check this out. It's like, why do you have to go check it out? You have the greatest power in all of the Star Wars galaxy at the moment you are saying, I have to go check this out. You have the high ground. Nothing defeats high ground. Nothing in Star Wars.
It's the only thing that'll defeat it is a bombardment from space, pretty much.
I think, yeah, because that's the high ground.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, and so he goes off, and what does he do? He does the same thing he always does. He walks into a trap. This is supposed to be one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy. This is someone who we're supposed to buy, can walk into any room and get his man, creature, woman, whatever. Yet he is constantly walking into a situation where someone is pointing a gun at him.
And gets the drop on him. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, why are you pointing a gun at me? I'm so very surprised by this. Din Djarin is the dumbest person in the galaxy. The dumbest person in the galaxy.
It does beg the question of, and again, I know this is a show being written, but if you think about that and you take it to its logical conclusion, how has he survived all this time without the Beskar armor, mind you?
Well, he had Beskar before.
Well, no, not the total Beskar.
Right.
Yeah. So without that, again, because his Beskar armor, there was some, I love.
It was flawed.
Yeah. I love watching it in action in this episode.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the guy gets himself on the short end. He gives himself the short end of the stick all the time.
He's so dumb. Anyway. So we get we got a Dank Ferric, when Grogu took the ball from him. He was like, Dank Ferric. But he said it like he was happy. Like it was like a yeah.
Right.
Like I always like they've used Dank Ferric as like frack.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. Yeah, so anyway, so Fennec Shand and, Tamura Morrison get the drop on him. And then, of course, the Empire shows up. Because, again, this is supposed to be the smartest bounty hunter in the galaxy who everybody fears. Yet he still hasn't stopped to check and see if there was any kind of tracking device on his ship after some stranger worked on it.
Yeah, I think if I was in that position, I'd be a little bit more paranoid. And I'd probably be, every time I stopped off, I would check for, bugs on my ship.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Every time. At no point would I not be doing that. Anyway, so, the Boba and Fennec corner him, and he's like, I want the armor, and he's like, you're gonna have to peel this armor off. I mean, he's no, I want my armor. And and then he does the thing. Well, did you do the creed? Dude, you just found out you're a part of a cult. Right. There are other Mandalorians out there.
I will say in his defense in that, he is so indoctrinated.
We're so indoctrinated
that even though he understands that there are others, he still has a hard time.
I don't think he understands. I still don't think he looks at Bo and the Night Owls as Mandalorians.
Yeah, that's not something that again we're going back to what we were talking about with the Expanse and Bobbie being indoctrinated in and then having to work to figure out, oh, what I was taught isn't necessarily the right thing.
No.
So just having one episode of Bo-Katan telling him that, that's not going to sink in. So, and I loved Morrison's delivery of the line. He was like, I'm just a simple man in the universe.
I mean, that was great. I mean,
like my father before me.
You know, it was nice that he could do it the same way that his dad did too. I mean, I don't know who the actor was the first time, but getting this guy to do it again was like, and the fact they look so much alike was awesome.
Almost like they were clones.
Like, you know, almost like it's the same actor.
Yeah.
Weird. Anywho, I will say, the never-ending train of stormtroopers coming out of those clown car dropships was a little weird. It's like, where are you getting 70 stormtroopers from those little ships? That those ships were the same size.
I thought
as
there were going to be like
Crest.
12 or so that came out of each.
Yeah,
one.
it looked like it was like you know, like maybe like 12, like, you know, whatever you call that, not a station, or I don't know, I've never
squad,
been
or
squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was down there, and you know, man, stormtroopers are bad at their jobs. I mean, they're really bad at their jobs.
How about the commander telling the guy, he's like, dude, there's too much fire.
Yeah.
Dude, what did I say? Go. And then what happens to the guy?
Go. I thought the frenetic filming of the stormtroopers was a little weird. Like, they were sped up or something, and like, I don't know. There was something off, and I've watched it 2.5 times now, and like, I went back and I watched those scenes when I was getting screenshots for the thumbnail, but I don't know. It was just strange.
So when you mentioned that, first of all, and again, it sounds like we're nitpicking. At least personally, I really, really enjoyed this episode.
I liked this episode. I think this episode should have had at least 17 more minutes in it.
Yeah, I would agree. So, yeah, so even though we're saying this, like, it's not like we don't like it. We're
nitpicking because we love it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But as far as the slowdown, when I first caught it, it was one of the fights with Morrison or Boba Fett with the gaffy stick, which was amazing.
I mean, that was really cool.
Yeah.
But again, like, this dude has shown, Boba Fett got beat by a blind guy in a hole in the ground. And yet here he is, like, just like a guy who was partially digested and came out of that hole, kicking everybody's ass like he's been doing it forever. Mary Sue.
I loved it. And again, I was one of those that have read some of the, not all of them, obviously, but some of the Tales from the Bounty Hunter books. And this is the Boba Fett
This is Boba Fett everybody's been waiting to see. So,
yeah.
So this is why I say, like, Filoni's bringing back the expanded universe into canon, because this, like, to be honest, this is the Boba Fett most of us grew up reading about, and that's why Empire and Jedi made no sense. When they used him as a kid in the Clone Wars, he was definitely more capable, but he was a wimpy little kid. Like, he was just a whiny little bitch. You know, so it was nice. It was really kind of nice to see that mirrored and him finally get to show why Vader was so high on him in Empire,
right? Instead
of just telling us.
Yeah, the whole show don't tell.
I'd be amazed to see what Filoni could do with Phasma.
Again, you've talked about Phasma.
The Phasma book was really quite interesting. So, anyway, so, you know, they're here. They had Fennec and Din and Boba had their standoff, and, you know, they're like, well, we'll help you. Just give me the armor. And so, you know, but again, does Din Djarin not understand how to close the door? Oh, wait, hold on. No. Better yet, they tell him to take the pack off, right? So he takes the pack off.
Okay, that's fine.
They land, the stormtroopers land. They're going up the hill towards Grogu. And he does not pick the jetpack up and fly up there. Why did he run up the mountain?
No idea.
Dumbest man in the galaxy. The only way he became foundling is because he got into the cult version of it.
They were accepting anyone.
They just said they'll take anybody. They're like, yeah, well, you know. But yeah, I just think it was interesting. But no, he leaves the Razor Crest unlocked again. Now, why did the stormtroopers go in there and ransack that joint?
Pick up a free Beskar armor.
Right? There's some
free Mandalorian
So,
armor.
okay, so here's the interesting thing is in canon, they talk about Jango's armor being the plasteel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Beskar. And then when Cobb Vanth wore it, it was Beskar. So now it's Beskar. And then Boba says specifically, that's my father's armor.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They're playing fast and loose with Ken and Darryl. They're playing fast and loose with it.
Well, considering what we've gotten with the Disney Star Wars movies.
This is the best Disney Star Wars.
Yes,
So here's the thing. This episode is the antithesis of what Star Wars should be. As much as last week was the best episode of The Mandalorian, and not just because it had Ahsoka Tano, just because it did so much. This was, roughly 22 minutes of actual episode, not counting credits and things like that. They unpacked so much in a tiny little package. They actually told a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Boba Fett is my least favorite character. I've never shied away from that.
Boba Fett.
Bleh.
I love that.
Barfa Fett. Anyway, I mostly meet people and I'm like, oh, hey. And they're like, oh, you like Star Wars? Yeah, but I don't like Boba Fett, so go away.
And they
Normie.
stop talking.
And I'm like, go away, Normie. Anyway, that's not true. I accept all. But yeah, it was weird that he didn't take the jetpack, because in the second he set it down, I was like, ugh, he's going to need this later on and he's not going to have it. And I seem to remember in the second episode that same jetpack having some remote control capabilities to get it to fly back to him.
It does.
So I'm running up the hill, I'm hitting my gauntlet, and I'm having the jetpack come and pick me up and take me, right?
Or just pick it up before you run up.
Just you bend over and pick it up. As soon as they all started fanning out with the stormtroopers, you just pick it up and you put it right back on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I will say the hero shot of Boba Fett showing up in the armor, kicking all sorts of ass, was a really cool visual. I like the sand person robes.
Yeah.
Underneath the armor. I thought that was an especially cool look. It was very much of a Ronin, right? Or a samurai. It definitely had this different look and feel to it than the normal kind of Mandalorian thing. And I thought it had a great I'm a big fan of Face Off, the Hollywood creature makeup show. It had a great silhouette.
Right.
It really did. It looks awesome. I liked the knee pad gun. I thought that was kind of ingenious. But no, I did like this episode, and I joked just because I don't like Boba Fett. But hey, did you know I didn't like Boba Fett? I've only said it 1,000 times.
I did not know that until
5
minutes ago.
I wasn't sure if I've ever said that to you or not. So they get there. They're doing their thing. They defeat the stormtroopers. They take off.
And then the tragedy happens.
But hold on. Boba does what he does, and he messes up. He was aiming for the wrong one. It was a happenstance that he was able to destroy both of them. But then the real tragedy of the episode happens. My favorite character died.
I'm still kind of in shock.
R.I.P. Razor Crest.
Yeah.
HasLabs, I want my money back. So, it's just it was wow. It's I didn't expect it.
No,
it was from out of nowhere. It was an amazing cinematic shot, right?
Yeah.
Because they're looking, and then this red bolt comes from the sky. And you don't even see the bolt at first. It's just the shadow of it in the clouds, or I guess it's behind the clouds, and then you see the poor little Razor Crest just all alone in a field. He's just sitting there, and she's like, I'm just waiting for Mando and Grogu to come back and fly me into space and do what I do. Yeah. And then it's gone.
Yeah. It's
just in an instant. You just don't see that coming. And
yeah, it's I'm just a ship.
I'm still in shock.
Yeah. It's I'm just a ship in a field waiting for a Mando to fly me.
I'm just a ship waiting for a pilot.
Yeah.
To fly around the galaxy.
That was very shocking to me.
Now, here's the thing, though. Is Fennec and Boba Fett are smart, because she's like, get to the ship. Don't leave that on the ground where they can blow it up. Now, he gets to the ship. He flies up to see what's going on. Mando already looked up and saw it was a light cruiser. Like, why isn't he not telling them it's an Imperial light cruiser? Right?
Yeah.
So Boba gets up there and he's like, they're back. The Empire is back. And they're like, the Empire's not back. The New Republic's in control of this area. The New Republic doesn't know the difference between a sneeze and a wet fart.
I was about to say, yeah, inept. But
that's a nice way to put it.
You're right.
Anyway,
I did like how the designs of these cruisers and what they're kind of like slowly bleeding towards the Disney trilogy with some of these designs.
Well, these are the same designs as was in Rebels.
Yeah. So sadly, we know I won't say sadly necessarily, but we know what's coming in the Disney trilogy. So I will be interested to see if they, like when you said they play fast and loose, if they make a couple creative differences, changes, which again, if they did, I won't mind, because I just, like the story and what they are doing, the world they're building with the Mandalorian and what they're going to do with these spin-off series, it's so captivating that
So what if the Mandalorian is the Boba Fett spinoff series? Think about it. Like, you don't need to do another Boba Fett show. Who's the most expendable character on the show?
Mandalorian.
Din Djarin.
Yeah.
You don't need him.
Not really.
The Mandalorian can be Boba. It could be Bo. It could be Sasha Banks. You know. Anyway. So Din a couple times runs back up to the top of the hill. He got his cardio in this week.
Yeah.
You know, running hills is hard.
Oh, hey. That's one of the tenets of Zombieland, cardio.
Yep, cardio. He tries to pull Grogu out of the Force trance with the force field around him. With the force field, no pun intended. And he gets knocked out. Like a little bit.
Well, he tries it, 3 times?
3 times.
Like, dude.
Fool me once.
Yeah.
Fool me twice.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I tried to flip that car once.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Fool me thrice.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to try to flip it the same way.
I probably deserve the concussion I got.
So what I'm captivated by in the whole, force transmission scene is who's going to pick up the transmission.
So this is interesting because Tython is a force neutral planet. So it could be a dark side user, it could be a light side user, it could be a gray, it could be, something we don't know about. It could be Oyu Sambong. Who knows?
And on our fantasy list of who it could be, I've read a lot of people talking about people we know, and that's like, for instance, Jedi Fallen Order, Cal Kestis, which I still need to finish that game.
Cal would be interesting. I think Cal would confuse people more than it would help. I think Sebastian Stan is not busy, so getting him to come in as a younger Luke Skywalker makes sense.
It is crazy how when you see the side-by-side of them.
I mean, he's a much more handsome Mark Hamill, but I mean, it's still like the same kind of structure.
Too, so.
But did you ever watch the Tanya, I, Tanya?
I still haven't watched that.
He's Jeff Galooly, and he is amazing. I think he got nominated for an Oscar. If he didn't, it was.
I didn't know.
And then he's in this movie called The Bronze with the lady who plays Bernadette in The Big Bang Theory. Where they're gymnasts, like Olympic level gymnasts. He's awesome in that too. So
yeah, he was in that the Tom Holland movie. Was it The Devil? That Netflix movie with Tom Holland that came out.
Oh yeah. I didn't watch it.
It was pretty good.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
But yeah, so I think Luke would be great, but I think.
So does that mean
that's an issue? It's not Ezra. I think it is. I think it's a beacon to get Ezra back on the Ahsoka series, right? Because he and Thrawn are all hanging out in Beyond the Unknown regions with the Purrgil. And
I wonder if they're hanging out like Dean and Crowley were in season 10 of Supernatural, just, chilling as drinking buddies and everything like that.
Maybe. They're Thrawn is like, tell me about the Force. And Ezra's like, well, I learned a little bit from this blind guy, but I learned a bunch from Maul. So I don't know which side of the Force I want to follow. No, but I think this is interesting. This is an interesting thing. I think it's going to be Luke, because like I said, they're going to use this with his metachlorian count and his mighty Skywalker blood to say this is why he went into hiding.
So does that mean Grogu gets slaughtered by Ben Solo?
No, because like Grogu is, super hideable. You can just put him in a little bag and wear him while you go around and fight gangsters. So yeah, no, he's the perfect Chihuahua accessory Jedi.
And we did see him in action, like at the end of the series.
So we
episode.
get the tease from 2 episodes ago. We get the Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
The Dark Troopers were awesome, even though it reminded me of Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3.
It actually reminded me. They reminded me more of the Iron Legion from Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Because they
flew and then they landed.
They turned and burned.
Yeah, it was like, way to go, Favs. Way to reuse some CG assets there. But no, they looked great. They go down. Of course, like when Mando's like, you stay here, I'm gonna go help, and then of course the field drops the minute he turns his back. Right? Mm-hmm. They get there. I like little Grogu wakes up and he's like, huh? What's happening? And they grab him and they just take off. So I'm really happy they didn't kill him right there. But they can't because they need him. They need the M count. I can't believe they're gonna make us like midichlorians.
I'm glad they did. They went with M count.
We were also like, everyone was like, a midichlorian. The forces are in us and around us. It's not a sexually transmitted disease.
Just look at it as an X gene, I guess.
Yeah, it's just something we all have. Some of us have more than others. So
just can't get mine to work right.
Yeah,
damn it.
I got mine working right for a little bit, but then I had a setback and then I forgot. So I got that concussion and it just stopped working.
So you kind of dropped down to like Grogu levels of being able to use it.
I'm just kind of like I can make a ball come to me, but that's about it. So, but no, so they get there. So, the episode ends with, Boba Fett and Fennec saying, no, we're going to help you get the kid back. Mm-hmm. And they go get, Cara Dune.
Yes. But he also, and again, I don't know if he's going to be on it, but he's going to use Mayfield.
Yeah. They figure. So there's 2 episodes left. This season is definitely ending on a cliffhanger, a gigantic cliffhanger.
I think it has to.
It 100% has to. And it has to end on them breaking Mayfield out. Like, next episode has to be planning the heist. And the episode after that has to be the heist of getting him out.
Then we do a heist episode?
Yeah. The whole thing is a heist.
Yeah. Not a time heist,
no, but they're going to go.
Heist. Bada bang.
You're fired. You're fired. Anyway, no, like they have to. So they're gonna next episode. They're gonna have to go get Bo-Katan back and be like, "Hey, we found Moff Gideon. We've got a common enemy. Let's team up."
So is it in this case? Is Din Nick Fury put together a team?
No, Boba Fett is Nick Fury. He's putting together the team.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Anyway, actually, Fennec is Nick Fury. She's putting together the team, which is ironic because
Ming-Na Wen is the cavalry.
The cavalry.
Yeah.
So she was the cavalry in this one. That scene where she was running on the boulders, it looked like something straight out of Star Trek. But when she was running on the boulders and then she turned and fired,
straight Desperado.
Dude, that was amazing. Yeah. It was Desperado. But the way her silhouette with that sniper rifle, it was awesome. I love her. Angel was actually like, is there anything she's ever in that she's not a badass? I'm like, no. I mean, she doesn't act. She's a badass.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
that's what's on our SAG card,
like,
professional badass.
Yeah, like, everyone talks about, like, Chuck Norris being in a badass. But no. Like, the cold, Ming-Na Wen doesn't get a cold. The cold gets Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah. So, I love her, though.
She's amazing. Yeah. She was on, I forget what it was called. Was it Boston Commons or something? She was on some sitcom forever ago, and she was always hilarious. And then she turned out to be badass. She was really good on ER too. Mm-hmm. She was on ER for a long time. But okay, so then, but the episode actually ends on the light cruiser, and we find Grogu playing with his food,
quite sadistically too.
So I think. Okay, so Grogu is just tossing these 2 stormtroopers around like they're rag dolls, and is having fun with it. And Moff Gideon comes in, and the one stormtrooper is like, "Do you want me to kill him?" And he's like, "Put the gun down." And he casually lowers the guy's gun for him. And he's like, give it a second. And he lets Grogu continue to beat the crap out of these two stormtroopers to the point where he's like, all right, now it's time to step in. And he goes over and he's like feeling a little sleepy. Like, Giancarlo Esposito is amazing. And the way he just delivers these lines, he's like, are you feeling a little sleepy? Yeah, I know this takes a lot out of you. You've gotten better.
Yeah.
And he pulls out the Darksaber and he fires it up. And Grogu's like trying to force grab the, like, not the blade, but like he's trying to force grab it. Right. And he's like, there's plenty of time for that. You'll put your eye out.
That line.
It's like, oh, Ralphie. Grogu is Ralphie. He just wants a late action model lightsaber with a green kyber crystal. Anyway, but no, it was great. And then, you know, he's like just evil. Like, you know, I think they're going to realize the M count is the least important thing about Grogu and that they can flip him to the dark side. Now, what if Grogu was never meant to be a Jedi? What if Grogu is some sort of dark side non-Sith Force user that becomes the bane of the Outer Rim for the rest of this series?
Talk about a swerve.
Dude, how awesome would that be?
That would be. And
I don't think it'll happen because, again, Mickey doesn't have the stones
to
do that. But, dude, no, I think it would make people like Grogu even better.
I actually don't know.
It would make me love Grogu.
I didn't think that. I thought of I kind of, at the end where he's like reaching for the saber.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought something along those lines of like, what if he did turn to the dark side?
Right.
But I didn't think of it to the point of being basically the big bad.
Yeah.
So
anyway, no, this was a really, really good episode. We've got 2 left. I'm sad that there's only 2 left. This should be a 10 episode series.
Mm-hmm.
No more than that, just 10. And the episode should be a minimum of 44 minutes long.
Yes.
Of actual screen time, not run time, but actual screen time.
I actually watched the credits this time around. I never do, and I'm like, whoa, this keeps going.
I always watch the artwork, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But then after the artwork ends, there's another 5 minutes of credits because it's got every actor doing the voices in a different language in a country that Disney Plus is in.
Yes.
So, all right. We have gone very, very long. So thank you to Matt Mitchell and Julian Brown for being patrons. We appreciate you to no ends. Darryl especially appreciates Matt because of the birthday present that I got him that I rescued from Matt.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Really cool.
You're welcome.
So. Yes.
Yeah, you just got me some stupid toys.
3.75.
I'm kidding. Figures. I'm kidding. Anyway, actually, those are 5 points of articulation figures.
Okay.
Nerd. All right. Yeah. So on that note, we will be back next week. We're not going to do. I don't want to say what we aren't going to do. We are going to do our last little Expanse prepper with Alex, Amos, and the Rossi, the last 3 characters to talk about, and then we'll have the next episode of. Actually, we won't have the next episode of The Mandalorian because Darryl's going to be in Disney World. So we're going to...
Is that right?
Yeah, that's next week.
That's the Florida one?
Yeah.
I always get them confused.
Yeah, so I think so. Anyway, but regardless, we'll have an episode next week. And we love you guys and girls, and thanks for listening.
Peace out, Paratnas and Sisatas.
I don't even know what that means.
Brothers and sisters in Belter.
Well, Walla. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, with new episodes out every Sunday. You can find more information about the show online at infamouspodcast.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @infamouspodcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcatching app. If you're enjoying the show, consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, or check out our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast for our new tiers and rewards. The Infamous Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Brian Tudor, with music provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as @BrianTudor. So, whenever you're listening to the show, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is. And we'll see you next time. Later.